Good afternoon, Ms. Sanchez. Can you hear me okay?
Good afternoon, Judge. Yes, I can.
And Mr. and Mrs. Rowe, can you hear me all right? Are you still connecting?
It looks like they're still connected.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Rowe, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, Ms. Sanchez, as we discussed, I wanted to have some type of evidentiary hearing regarding your damages. I did receive your motion for a default judgment, which I can grant. I can't grant the type of damages that you're asking for without some kind of testimony. So
Certainly.
that's the purpose for this hearing. So if you'd like to call a witness, I will swear them in and we can get started.
Yes, sir. We'll be asking both Sonia Rowe and Billy Rowe to testify.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Rowe, can I get you both to raise your right hands for me, please? Okay, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony or the information you're about to give is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, go ahead, Ms. Sanchez.
Let's start with you, Mrs. Rowe. Can you introduce yourself for the court, please?
Yes, hello, my name is Sonia Rowe.
And how are you related to Terrence Rowe?
Terrence Rowe is my firstborn son. I'm his mom.
Where did Terrence live at the time of his passing?
He lived in his own apartment in Mesquite, Texas, in it's called The Place apartment.
And about how long had he been living there?
A little over 2 years.
Where did he live before that?
At home with myself and my husband on 9431 Jill Lane.
Is that in Dallas?
Yes, that's Dallas. I'm sorry, Dallas County.
No worries. Tell us how often you saw Terrence in the years before he passed away, after he moved.
After he moved out, I saw him mainly on Sundays, sometimes through the week, but he worked out in another side of, he worked 4 hours on the other side of north, like Las Colinas area, so the traffic was bad. I would talk to him, like on his drives home. He would get off at like 4:30, but he wouldn't make it home till like about 5:30. And like I said, he's in Mesquite, but we were right there. We were about like less than 10 minutes away. But I really wouldn't see him, until like on the weekends when he would come over to visit, for our dinner or just our time or just go out.
How many days a week would you and Terrence talk on the phone?
Ooh, it varied. We like anywhere from 3, 4, 2, or text all the time. He just text me little corny stuff just to get my day going, or just to say hello.
Did Terrence, when he would come over, did he provide y'all any help around the house?
Yeah, we just needed something done. When we stayed in Dallas, yes, like come over and just do just typical things that we needed. But when we moved down here, we've been here in Longview, Texas for 1.5 years now. But before we moved down here, we had bought some property down here, and he would, help when my husband would come and help mow and clean off the property. We tried to just clean it off ourselves before we built. But yes, he was very much involved in helping us doing everything.
Awesome. So, would you say that Terrence was a big help around the house? Are you guys kind of having to do some stuff now yourselves that Terrence was otherwise doing?
No, we can manage like doing things on our own, but it was just the fact that we could count on him to come and help out, do things around the house. It's hard.
So one of the things that you're asking the court to award today is a damage for what's called lost household services in the past, since Terrence's death up until now, and then in the future. And the amount that you, Mrs. Rowe, are asking for is $150,000. Is that right?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't hear your question, Ms. Sanchez.
Sorry, I was asking her to confirm that the amount in lost household services that she's asking for today is $150,000.
Yes,
When did Mr. Rowe pass away?
he passed June 13th, 2022.
And was that the day after the crash?
That was the date of the crash.
Okay. Did Mr. Rowe have a spouse or any children?
No, he did not.
And what was it that he was doing for work? You said he was working out by Las Colinas.
He was working for Gateway Bank. He was in with the construction loan department. Yes, he had been there almost, pretty much almost like a year. But before there, he had worked for like Wells Fargo, their bank,
Oh.
for years.
Would Terrence ever give y'all any money?
Yes, of course, he would give me some money. Give us money, just
How often would he give y'all money?
it was no set, time or anything. He would just buy us gifts or give us money.
Okay. And I'm not asking you to say, you kept a record of everything your son gave you, because that doesn't.
I guess maybe 3 or 4 times, out of the year, and then gifts, for like Mother's Day or just birthday or just because.
If he would give y'all like actual cash or some kind of money, how much would it usually be a time?
Like in the hundreds, couple of $100 or something like that. Just
So
something-
couple $100, maybe 3-4 times a year?
Yeah.
So let me ask this real quick. How much did Terrence's funeral and burial cost?
$22,000.
And you're asking the court to award you $22,000 as reimbursement for that cost?
Yes.
With regard to the money that Terrence would give you guys every now and then, it may not have been much, but was it a help to you when you would get it?
Yes, it was a help.
So if we're thinking, I'm sorry, let me get a calculator. So if he was going to give you maybe $200 every 4th month or about 4 times a year is what you said, right?
Yeah.
And if that's for the next 30 years, he was going to help you guys out, assuming that he didn't start giving you more money as you went into retirement. Looks to be about $24,000 in lost support from your son. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Are you asking the court to award you that lost support today?
Yes.
Do you know if Terrence lived for any amount of time after the collision?
No, he did not. As far as the police report, he did not.
How did you first learn about the crash?
I was at work and Detective Robinson called me at work and told me what had happened.
And I know that it is really tough to go through these very clinical-like questions about this. So take as much time as you need. But can you describe for us your feelings in that moment?
It was horrible. You can't, I can't describe it. It was horrible.
One of the damages you're asking the court to award is your mental anguish for the loss of your son.
Yeah.
And the amount you're asking the court to award you, Mrs. Rowe, is about $900,000 for your past mental anguish and for the continued mental anguish of your son.
Yes.
Can you describe for us your daily life now that Terrence is gone, including how his death has affected how you live?
some, I have good days and I have bad days. And I yeah, he's with me every day in my head, and I can't describe it. I just miss him so much. I hear his voice. I miss his voice. I love him so much, and my days are so hard, and they're so good, and they're so up, and they're so down, and I'm all over the place. That's my son. I love him dearly. He loves me dearly, and I just really, I can't describe it, but it is hard. I can't describe it.
So another one of the damages you're asking the court to award today is for the lost companionship and society of your son. Is that right?
That is right.
And at that amount for the past since his death and for the future without him, you're asking for you, Mrs. Crowe, $1,100,000.
Ms. Sanchez, can you please speak up, because I can't
Yes,
hear all your
sorry about
questions.
that.
That's
I'm gonna
okay.
move my microphone closer.
Okay.
So for the amount that you're asking for lost companionship and society for your son in the past and in the future is $1,150,000. Is that right?
Yes,
Now, did the defendant driver, the guy who we're asking the court to render a default judgment for, did he stay at the scene?
not according to the police report and the news media. He did not stay at the scene.
Okay. I think the police actually had to go issue a warrant to bring him in, right?
Correct.
So one of the damages you're asking the court to award is exemplary, or what we call punitive damages for his actions on that day. And you're asking for $150,000 in punitive damages, right?
Yes.
So tallying all of the numbers we've talked about up, it looks like your total damages for the loss of your son amount to $2,246,000. Is that right?
Yes.
And you're asking the court to render a default judgment against the parties who have not answered and to award you this amount for your damages today, right?
Yes.
Okay. We don't have any further questions for Ms. Rowe, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Rowe, I may have some questions of you a little later, but are you gonna call Mr. Rowe for some questions as well, Ms. Sanchez?
Yes, sir.
Okay, why don't you do that at this time?
Okay. Mr. Rowe, can you introduce yourself for the court, please?
Billy Rowe, Terrence's Rowe founder.
And Mr. Rowe, I'm going to ask you some of the same questions that I asked your wife. Do you disagree with anything your wife testified to in terms of her relationship with your son or support that he gave you guys, anything like that?
No, ma'am. He was a great son.
So from your perspective, we've heard from Ms. Rowe. Now I want to hear from you. How did you first learn about this crash?
Well, the detective first called me first, but I was at work and I can't have my phone with me at work. And then my wife got a hold to me and she told me what had happened.
Were you still at work when she got hold of you?
Yes.
Can you tell us what went through your head and what your feelings were in that moment?
To be honest, I didn't believe it. You know, I just couldn't believe my son was gone. I just didn't believe it.
Yeah. We talked with Ms. Rowe about the amount of money she's asking for in mental anguish as being $900,000 for her mental anguish. Are you asking for the same amount for your mental anguish from the court today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then similar to what I asked Ms. Rowe, now that Terrence is gone, tell me what your daily life is, and kind of if there's any holes that are left by Terrence that you don't get anymore.
It's just like my day is just not fulfilled anymore. You know, just don't feel whole knowing that he's not here. You know, you get up every morning and you go to bed at night, but during the day is totally different. It's hard every day. Some days easier than other ones, but it just not the same. Life itself is not the same.
And similar to Miss Rowe, who said that her lost companionship and society damages amounted in the past and the future amounted to $1,150,000. Are you asking the court to award you the same amount of money for the loss of your son?
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition to Ms. Rowe, are you asking for $150,000 for exemplary damages for your behalf for the defendant's actions at the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
So adding your damages to your wife's damages, are you and your wife asking the court to render a default judgment and award $4,446,000 total for both your and her damages for the loss of your son?
Yes, ma'am.
We have no further questions for Mr.
Thank you. First of all, Mr. and Mrs. Rowe, my condolences to you in the loss of your son. And I'm so sorry to hear about that. I have a couple of questions, and Ms. Sanchez, I'm going to allow you to come back. I need some more testimony regarding the wrongful death allegation and the exemplary damages. But give me some more information, Mr. and Mrs. Rowe, about your son. How old was he when he died?
He was 29.
29?
Yes,
And do you have any other children other than Terrence?
yes, we have a son and 4 other daughters.
And are they also, well, give me just roughly, are they older than Terrence or younger?
One is they older, but they all is right in together. Except for me. He had one younger brother.
Okay, other than one younger brother, Terrence was the youngest?
Yeah, my son Samuel, he's the youngest, and then Terrence, and then I had a set of triplets with my previous marriage, and I had another daughter in my previous marriage.
And what time frame did Terrence actually live in your home?
Ooh. From birth up until he went to college, and then after he graduated college in 2011, he stayed there maybe a year or 2 more. Then after that, he was on his own, on his own apartment.
Can you give me just a rough idea of how long he lived in your home after he graduated from college?
After he graduated from college, about 14 months.
And when he left after 14 months, when was that? I know you said he had his own apartment. When did he stop living with you on an ongoing basis, roughly?
I want to say 2013.
So he's been out of the house about 9 years now?
Yeah.
Do you have any other children living with you in your home?
No, sir.
Now, you indicated that 3 or 4 times a year, Terrence would give you about $200 each time. Was that to pay a particular bill, or was it just to help you out? Was it given in any specific purpose?
Just because, no specific purpose, just because.
Was he legally responsible for paying bills that you incurred in any way, like credit card bills or paying apartment bills, anything like that? Uh,
No,
I
and
guess
the,
what I'm trying to get to is that
yeah,
uh, in what way were you relying on him for your support?
I think he didn't have any bills to pay at home. He just would he just would just give us some money, or he would just buy us gifts, or just like, Mom, I saw this for you and I got this, or here's something for you and Dad to help out. But it wasn't like he was like legally binded to pay a bill. I think he was on our cell phone bill for a while. He would pay that, but that's it, right?
Was there any other action brought on behalf of Terrence as a result of this accident? Did he sue someone else? Does he have an estate? Any kind of probate action been initiated from this accident?
For his car, and
When you said his car, did someone represent him against the other driver in any kind of action?
No,
no, I mean like I think he still owed payment. He still owed something on his car.
Okay. Well, but I guess my question has relate to when people are in an accident, they sometimes can get compensation from the other person who kind of caused that accident. I know you guys are bringing a separate lawsuit for the wrongful death. I'm trying to determine if Terrence, if his estate or if anyone on his behalf brought any action against the other driver.
No, no,
No.
sir.
Okay. And how much would you say Terrence was making at the time he was employed just before his death?
Between 40 and 50,000.
Now, I know you said he didn't have any a spouse or any children at the time of his death, but had he been married before?
No, sir.
So he never been married
No, sir.
and no children.
No, sir.
Okay. Now, can you tell me, are you and your husband currently employed, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what do you do?
I'm a group leader at a place called Campfield where they do like air filtration systems.
Okay, so you're like an hourly employee there?
Yes.
And what's your compensation there?
What I make per year?
Yes, just roughly a year would be fine.
35,000 a year.
Okay, and what about you, Mr. Rowe?
I work at Dollar General warehouse now, and I probably make 30, 35, something like that.
Okay, that's a year?
Yes.
Now, do you guys know anything firsthand about the accident and how it was caused?
Not really. Not really.
I think you gave some testimony that indicated that the driver of the other vehicle involved in the accident left the scene of the accident. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, do you know if he was ever charged with any type of offense for leaving the scene of an accident?
Yes.
Okay, you know that?
Yeah, they finally caught up with him.
Okay,
Uh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they were searching for him, and it took about a month, or a little over. They finally caught up with him,
Okay,
and they charged him with what's the name of it?
leaving the scene of an accident?
Yes.
And he had some priors, but I don't know the other ones.
Yeah, during the time of the accident, he already had warrants out for his arrest. So when they caught him, they charged him with my son and put the other charges that they were looking for him for.
Okay, do you know what happened to those charges? Was he convicted of something?
I have no idea.
Okay. Can you tell me a little about was he driving a truck or something for somebody else? Tell me I know you weren't at the scene of the accident, maybe you don't know a lot about it, but tell me what you know about the circumstances and the facts of the accident.
Only thing we really know that he was driving some kind of box truck.
You mean he being your son or the other driver?
The other driver, the guy that hit my son, he was
Okay.
driving his truck. And when the accident happened, he took off.
But you don't know any details of how the accident happened? Did he come into the lane your son was driving in? Did he run a red light? You don't know anything like that, do you? Or do you?
In the police report, it's still a lot of unanswered questions. Even when I was talking to the detective, is so many things that was unknown.
Okay, that's all the questions I have for you guys. Thank you so much. And like I said, I really want to offer my condolences to you and the loss of your son. Ms. Sanchez, do you have any further questions of these witnesses?
No, sir.
Okay. What I'd like for you to do is to prepare a proposed order,
Yes, sir.
and you need to itemize your list of damages,
Yes, sir.
and then the court will consider that and get an order to you, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. Should I send that to your chambers in Word format, or would you like me to e-file it?
I'd like for you to just to file a proposed order, just e-file a proposed order.
Yes, sir.
And why don't you send me an email to let me know that you filed it so I can look at it?
Yes, sir, certainly.
Okay. Anything further?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. You guys have a good evening.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGraw.
Bye-bye.